Okay, this is a tutorial on how to use the Blendtec kitchen mill. This is a pin mill. Here's one I've torn apart to show how that works. It has a stator that fits inside the rotor, and the grain comes in through this spout and exits out the bottom. So there's lots of opportunities for impact between those different layers of pins. Now it has very few controls on it. There is a dial here which indicates how fast it's going to feed material into the milling portions. I generally find that I can open it up pretty high without a problem. If it does overheat the motor, it'll turn off. It has a thermal reset. This little button here is what you press to do that, but you should never have to really do that. Here's the on-off switch. Now it has a small open cell foam filter that fits into this outlet so that the air that's generated from the pin mill acts like a fan, and it wants to exit out to the outside. And that little foam plug is supposed to keep it from clouding up the room. However, our dog found it and chewed it up, so we'll be using a secondary containment system to control that. On the inside, this comes with a nice little brush for cleanup, and this, which is a kind of cyclone separator. So as the product comes out here, air is pressurized through this circular pathway, and by gravity and centrifugal force it separates out most of the material into this cup, and then the remainder of the air gets pushed out where that filter should be. Now it's important when you're using this thing to make sure you start with a relatively clean gasket, because this thing has a tendency to build up crud over use, because as you're milling grain there's a certain amount of evaporation that takes place. Some of the moisture in the grain causes it to stick on the outside, and it will build up over time, and then it will start leaking around the seam. So now I'm ready to put this back into place. Make sure it's snapped down, and I'm going to start it up in the secondary containment system to control the dust.
Quite a big one, I have to say.
Okay, here we go.
Makes way too much noise.
So we finished the mill run. I'm going to take this apart, and then there's quite a lot of it that sticks to every surface imaginable in here. That's what the brush comes in useful for. Between one commodity and another. Do a good cleanup in between. Okay, here we have our flour. Now this is rice flour that I'm doing here. I don't happen to have any wheat on hand, but we do a variety of different milling. So we do teff, lentil, oat, quinoa, all of it done with the same mill. The only difference is that for a really small grain like teff or quinoa, you need to decrease the aperture that feeds the mill, because this stuff can go through so fast it can really kind of lug down the machine. And you have to kind of play that by ear. The normal whine will go from bree down to ree, and you can tell by the sound if you're starting to work the motor too hard. Okay, that wraps up this tutorial.